Have you ever wondered why one massive global manufacturer seamlessly adopts cutting-edge AI, while another spends billions just to watch their production lines grind to an absolute halt? Welcome to this explainer. Today we're dismissing the hidden, highly structured mechanics that keep modern global manufacturing running smoothly. Because whenever you look at a massively successful global operation, say a premier auto manufacturer pushing millions of vehicles out the door, what you're really seeing is the result of a brilliant conductor leading an incredibly complex orchestra. We're going to explore exactly how that conductor works and why the invisible architecture of strategic governance is literally the secret weapon of modern industry. So, how do you actually upgrade massive robots, integrate brand new technologies, and cut waste on a global scale without causing absolute chaos? Well, this is the modern manufacturing tightrope. You desperately need high-tech upgrades to stay competitive, right? But think about it. If you roll out thousands of IoT sensors in your Berlin plant without carefully aligning those data structures with your existing legacy systems in Tokyo, you don't get operational efficiency. You get a localized, incredibly expensive mess. You get data silos that refuse to talk to each other, predictive maintenance algorithms that output sheer noise, and procurement teams buying redundant software. If you just start changing everything, everywhere, all at once, without a rigid structural blueprint, the entire ecosystem is inevitably going to fall apart under its own weight.
Just picture the daily reality on the ground for a second. We're talking ocean-spanning supply chains, multiple massive plants humming 24/7, and layered on top of all of that, a relentless daily bombardment of continuous improvement memos raining down from corporate. Trying to manage all of this without a structural plan isn't just difficult, it's a fast track to madness. It's a loud, frantic, constantly shifting environment where floor managers are actively fighting fires while simultaneously being asked to pilot untested drone inventory systems. Talk about absolute sensory overload.
Now, the antidote to all this overwhelming chaos is structured program management. And we aren't merely talking about tracking timelines on a Gantt chart here. It is the rigorous, high-level governance required to continuously coordinate lean practices, complex automation rollouts, and multi-site quality projects. You can really think of it as the ultimate operating system for your corporate strategy. Because without this strict governance, 100 brilliant, highly motivated, but totally isolated initiatives will simply cannibalize each other's resources. The robotics budget eats the training budget. The quality team contradicts the speed team. Program management transforms that corporate noise into synchronized progress, ensuring every single deployment actively contributes to long-term competitiveness without breaking your current quarterly output. To see how this governance actually works in practice, we rely on 5 pillars of progress. Those are lean initiatives, automation rollouts, quality improvement, supply chain optimization, and sustainability programs. Let's break down exactly how program management dynamically orchestrates these 5 distinct areas simultaneously.
Let's start with automation rollouts. Now, this is far beyond just dropping a new multi-axis robotic arm onto the floor and plugging it in. We are talking about weaving together advanced robotics, the industrial Internet of Things, and incredibly complex AI-driven production upgrades into centralized data lakes. Imagine deploying an AI defect detection system in a Michigan facility. If program management isn't strictly coordinating the API integrations, that AI system might flag and reject parts way faster than the legacy conveyor belt can physically remove them. Bam! You've created a massive physical bottleneck that shuts down the entire line. Coordinating these deep, system-level integrations across globally distributed plants requires relentless, standardized oversight to ensure that upgrading one node doesn't accidentally crash the whole global network.
But here's the thing. All that advanced robotics hardware means absolutely nothing if the output is fundamentally flawed, right? And that brings us to quality improvement. Managing methodologies like Six Sigma on a global scale is just a monumental task of cultural and procedural alignment. It's about standardizing operational parameters so tightly that a defect reduction strategy pioneered in an automated stamping facility in Mexico is perfectly and instantaneously adopted by a mirror facility in Germany. Centralized governance ensures that localized wins are captured, documented, and globally deployed, effectively raising the quality floor for the entire enterprise without reinventing the wheel at every single location. Now consider the natural, deeply ingrained friction between lean initiatives and sustainability programs. Lean principles demand aggressively stripped-down waste reduction, which almost always results in a just-in-time manufacturing model. Now, just-in-time relies heavily on frequent, small, precisely timed shipments. But on the flip side, aggressive sustainability initiatives demand significantly lower corporate carbon footprints, which heavily favors consolidated, massive, and less frequent freight. Do you see the problem? Left to their own devices, the lean team and the green team are going to fundamentally undermine each other.
Centralized program management is literally the only way to negotiate these inherent contradictions at the highest level, striking a calculated balance that keeps the lines fed while still hitting those big corporate emission targets.
And managing the arteries that feed those assembly lines requires dynamic supply chain optimization. You've got to oversee immense logistical networks and enforce deep, seamless vendor integration. This means giving your key suppliers secure access to real-time demand forecasting through centralized supplier portals, so they know what you need before you even formally order it. It also means drastically improving your internal inventory responsiveness to absorb sudden global shocks. You could construct the most beautifully automated, environmentally green, and highly lean megafactory in the world, but if the procurement and logistics teams aren't operating under the exact same strategic umbrella, those multi-million-dollar robots are just going to sit completely idle, waiting for microchips that are still stuck on a cargo ship somewhere.
When a global organization lacks this overarching structured oversight, they might be doing genuinely incredible things, but those efforts remain tragically fragmented. The automation team isn't talking to the sustainability team. Millions of dollars in capital expenditure are just wasted on duplicate efforts or incompatible, localized software solutions. The true bottom-line power of unified progress is that it strategically transforms the chaos of those isolated projects into a compounded return on investment. By actively forcing cross-functional collaboration, you eliminate redundant spending and ensure that every single dollar invested in continuous improvement acts as a multiplier for the entire global footprint, not just a single isolated assembly line.
Ultimately, structured oversight ensures that automation, lean practices, and sustainability efforts are not isolated, but strategically aligned. This strategic alignment is the holy grail of modern industry. When procurement, production, quality, and logistics all point in the exact same direction, driven by a unified strategy, it creates measurable, explosive gains in efficiency and quality. And more importantly, it creates institutional resilience. When massive supply chain shocks hit, or global markets face a sudden, vicious downturn, an aligned organization can pivot their operations globally in a matter of days. A fragmented organization? Well, they simply shatter under the pressure.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to take away from our explainer today. Look deeply at your own organization, or even just the global businesses you study and invest in. In a fiercely competitive global market, are your technology upgrades and efficiency improvements isolated, fragmented, and noisy? Or are they strategically aligned under rigorous, structured oversight? Basically, are you just making an incredibly expensive rocket, or do you have a conductor turning it all into a symphony? Think about the compounding power of true structural alignment. Thank you so much for exploring the hidden mechanics of modern manufacturing with me today. Keep asking the hard questions, keep analyzing the structures around you, and I'll catch you next time.